What's up, comic book fans? And welcome to Comics Icons. Now, JJ, what they call me. And today, we got more Blood Hunt. This time with another tie-in issue in the form of Venom number 34 by writer Al Ewing. And if you missed the last issue of this series, or any parts of this Blood Hunt event, then I'll put a card up at the top of the screen for you, and a link at the end of the video. But when we left off with the last issue, Venom had come face to face with his old deceased host, Lee Price, after his body had been reanimated by the Captive, a natural vampiric type predator for Venom that threatens to eat the whole world. Not only that, Venom's normal host, Dylan, is now without a symbiote, and we left off with him left alone and face to face with a vampire priest that just so happened to have previously taken a confession from Venom. So if you guys are ready to find out if Venom is able to escape the Captive, and if Dylan can escape the vampire priest, and you guys know what time it is, let's get it. So this issue starts with Dylan's confrontation with the vampire priest. And Dylan recognizes this priest, but the priest tells Dylan that he'd overheard his conversation with Toxin about finding out everything that Venom had done and experiencing what it felt like. And the priest assumes that means Dylan saw and felt what Venom did to him. But then he decides to fill Dylan in on his side of the story. That years ago he met Eddie and took his confession, and at the time he didn't know about Venom. But Venom would end up coming back for the priest later after that meeting and broke 3 of his ribs and gave him a tremor that he would keep all the way up until he died. But then Venom came to the hospital to confess. Without Brock, just the symbiote itself. He said that he wanted to do good and offered the priest protection. But as you can see from the vampire curse, the protection didn't go so well. He had just gotten out of the hospital, and when he was limping back, sun death had occurred. And he was without any type of holy weapons and no protection from Venom. So of course he was easy prey, and he ended up getting turned. But now the priest has a new calling, and after hearing of how Dylan has been abandoned, he offers to bring Dylan over to his team. But then we pick up at Lee Price's grave with Venom and the Captive and the reanimated Lee Price. And the Captive tells Venom that Lee's pain can last for centuries. The Captive's kind likes to keep servants like this around with a deep need for a symbiote. They make for perfect bait. But the Captive notices that Venom still feels for his former host, which he finds touching. But he tells Venom not to worry, because what's left of Lee's mind can't remember anything before his endless pain. And then the Captive attempts to fire a type of energy blast at Venom, who manages to dodge it before the blast cuts down a tree behind Venom. And then he taunts Venom as he continues his attack. He is forever, he proclaims. And he knew his time would come soon enough after he'd been frozen in stasis. And then the vampires had released him just so he could come for Venom and kill him. All of this is for you, he tells Venom, after he makes contact with his blast, causing Venom to lose his form. The vampires see Venom as competition, he tells Venom. And now that Venom is nothing more than a puddle at this point, the Captive reaches in to get himself a taste of the symbiote. But the craziest thing happens when he tries it, as the reanimated Lee Price cracks the Captive in the back of the head with a headstone. And it surprises the hell out of the Captive. You raised a hand against me? How did you find the will? He questions his thrall. But Lee points to Venom. Man. Ah, of course the Captain understands now. My symbiote. Mine. The dead host is still somewhere inside this remnant, and he must really love Venom. But no, that's not it, Venom thinks. It was never love with Lee. It was need. The need for strength, for a weapon to strike back against the world. And now that he's dead and Venom is dying, Venom can feel sympathy for that. And as Venom crawls over to Lee to bond with him once more, he notes that the pain is everywhere and it burns like Venom. There's nothing in Lee for Venom to feed on to sustain him. Not even a mind. Just an empty husk. And Lee's last thought was that he needed a symbiote to live. And perhaps now Venom's will be that he needs a host to fight death. But he fully bonds with Lee, and it looks downright ungodly. But he's ready for a fight with the captive now. Feed on this, he tells him, just before we switch back over to Dylan, who's kind of saying the same thing in the moment to the vampire priest. Bite me. But that's exactly what the priest has planned. To drain him of about 3 pints of blood to turn him. And then he grabs Dylan and spins him around, exposing his neck, and then the priest wastes no time and goes right in for the bite. But the feedback is wicked for the priest. Ah, tainted. The blood is tainted, he screams. As Dylan fills him in that he's half symbiote. So that must have been like drinking motor oil. And as the priest is now messed up from that terrible blood, Dylan cracks a wooden chair over the priest's back and then uses one of the broken legs as a stake and then drives it into the back of the priest, ending him right there on the spot. And then we switch back over to Venom as the captive gets a kick out of Venom using the captive's thrall to fight back. And as Venom and Lee attack the captive, he easily catches them. This combination is still no match for the captive. And then he begins to ingest the life force of Venom. But something happens as the captive immediately starts to feel pain himself. Apparently when the captive created his thrall, he used his own life energy, so feeding off of Lee is like feeding off of himself. A pretty nasty feedback circuit that he just created. And that's when Venom gets the idea to stuff his fist straight down the throat of the captive, causing him to erupt and die. And now Venom can't believe that he just won. Then we see Meridius as he congratulates Venom on his victory. But then Meridius has a question for Lee Price. He asks if he wants to stick around and bond with a sick and dying Venom symbiote, or a fresh and ageless Meridius. And for Lee, that's an easy choice as he detaches himself instantly from Venom and runs over and bonds with Meridius. Ironic, Venom thinks, since he'd left Lee for a better host once before. But then Meridius explains to Venom who he is, and he also has a little message for Venom, that Dylan is still alive, and not only that, but your old pal Eddie is coming back. And then, the war begins. As ladies and gentlemen, the next issue will be the Venom War, and that, my friends, is the end of the issue. So what did you guys think about this one? How both Venom and Dylan won by letting the opponent attempt to feed on them. That was kind of interesting. I did think we would get more from the captive though. It was almost kind of funny the way that they took him out. But I dig Venom, and I can't wait to see what happens in the upcoming Venom War. I don't know if you guys have been following, but it's being set up as Eddie versus Dylan, and all the symbiotes will have to pick a side. So I'm looking forward to seeing where that goes. But what did you guys think about both the issue and Venom's brief tie-in to this Blood Hunt event? And are you guys looking forward to the Venom War? And as always, if you guys enjoyed this video and this channel, and you'd like to support the channel, then you can do so by stopping by the Comics Icon store and picking up some of this merchandise, including the background music heard right here in this video available for download. Or by joining the Iconic Fan Club channel membership. And there'll be a link in the description to join. But with the membership, your voice will be heard during our interactive live streams with yours truly, where we can talk about everything that's been going down in these issues, as well as ones that you'd like for me to go over in the future and other comic book news. Plus you'll get loyalty badges, member shoutouts, and up to 20% off of Comics Icon's merchandise from the Comics Icon store. And now we've got tiers to the memberships as well, starting at just 99 cents. Or you guys can donate to the channel with a super thanks. And if you're not able to do any of these, then you can still be a tremendous help to the future of this channel by dropping a like, share, and subscribing to Comics Icons for more icons in the comic book world. ladies and gentlemen, it's about that time. I'm out.